Hey everybody, it's Justin from Bittner and this is the Mamotion Yuka. This is their newest autonomous robotic lawnmower, and it's their first that has an autonomous bagger too. So it will pick up lawn debris, go to a designated spot, and dump it all without your intervention and keep going. So this is something that I've been waiting for a while. When I decided that I wanted to start looking into autonomous mowers, this was the one that I saw, and it hadn't been released yet. And this was the one that, after I looked at all the different companies and the specs, this was the one that I really wanted. Mammotion was nice enough to send me a Luba 2 beforehand, so I've had the Luba 2 for a couple months and I adore it, but I'm very excited for this one. This is, I have a wooded lot. I have lots of leaves that come down, so I would love for my mower to be able to pick all that stuff up for me and reduce the amount of workload that I have. So very cool. What we're going to do in this video, we are going to unbox and assemble the Yuka main body. We're going to assemble the bagger system. We're going to take a look at the capabilities of both, compare it over to the Luba a little bit too and its body configuration. We're going to run aerial tests. So I have a drone where we can get a top-down view. We're going to set up areas on the lawn where we put lawn debris out there and see how well it cleans up these areas. We're going to check out how well it mows. It's advertised as having like a carpet-like appearance in its mow afterwards. I can definitely vouch for the Luba 2 having a phenomenal cut look too, so I'm excited to see this one. We will also do hills, inclines, high grass, a whole bunch of stuff. And then I'm also going to take it over to my father-in-law's house. I'm interested to get another opinion on maybe somebody who's a little bit older than me, somebody who might not be as tech savvy as me. I know there's concern out there with people when you're looking at a tech object. You know, will I be able to set it up? Will I be able to get it running? How easy is it? So I wanted to get another opinion on that too. So let's get into the fun today on Bittner. The Yuka is of a different design than the Luba 2. On the Luba 2, you had 4 independent drive motor wheels. On this one, you have a large 2-wheel back, and then underneath, you have an independent spinny wheel, and this has no powered control. This is just for stability and to pivot off of. You can see underneath that we have 2 of the spinning discs that hold our razor blades that cut all of our grass. I love the fact that these are razor blades because it just takes a few seconds with a screwdriver to unscrew these if you need to replace them. I anticipate maybe replacing them once a year or so, possibly twice, depending on if you're hitting rocks and different things. I've noticed that they replaced the metal bars that the Luba 2 has with these open metal bars. And on the Luba 2, sometimes you get grass that gets caught in here and builds up. So obviously this was to prevent that buildup, but still protect hands and sticks and other objects from being hit by the razor blades. The entire front of this is a bumper. So it doesn't have a front bumper like on the Luba 2. The entire shell moves back and forth. As you can see here, we have our vision, and they've added in a cute little windshield wiper here to make sure that your vision stays clear. The top has your emergency stop button, as well as a physical knob to set the height of your mow. So this is being done directly on unit as opposed to software with the Luba 2. We have a rain sensor right here, so if it detects rain, it will go back to its housing. An additional rear camera, and then we have our physical buttons for restarting our mowing process. You know, if it gets stuck, you basically just have to hit the start button in grass to continue mowing, or the start button in home to go home and recharge. One other really helpful thing on this is a nice handle in the back. You know, this will get stuck from time to time, so having a solid handle that you can grab to be able to pick up your unit is pretty nice. We're back in the shop. We got the sweeper in, so we're going to assemble that. But before we do, I just kind of wanted to take a look at the main housing unit here while it's open and we can see everything. So when this is mounted on the back, it is able to pivot. So obviously that is as it goes across the grass. If you were to hit anything, if the terrain changes, it can move up and down. It's pretty weighty, so it's going to be pushing down on the grass as it does that. It has this large roller, but this is very light, hollow plastic roller here. And then we have a rubber paddle with teeth. So you can see that they move quite a bit. It's like I wanted to say it was silicone at first, but it's not. It is rubber, but it is a medium, not too soft, not too hard type of rubber. And I know it is because they actually put it here on the side. They also put on the side a whole bunch of dimensions and stuff, but they put the operating temperature and the storage temperature. And that is telling to me they don't put that on things normally. So I'm guessing that this rubber, if you go into extreme cold or extreme heat, can have some adverse effects. So that's probably why this is on the side. So it's good to note that as far as storage and when you're running it. Make sure you're not storing it at 14 degrees or less or over 122 degrees. Otherwise we might see some freezing, melting, cracking, stuff like that. So I'm going to move really fast through the assembly process so I don't waste your time, but feel free to pause if you're following along. Let's install the handle on top of the main bagger unit. Make sure that it is pointing backwards in the same direction that you have these two handles. Screw in the 4 aggressively threaded screws around the handle. We are going to put it underneath. There are grooves right here and following the direction of the metal piece. So we're going to lay it right here. We're then going to place this cap that has a nub on it over the one that is labeled left. There's an L right here and an R on this side. So the nub cap goes on the left and the cap that does not have the nub on it goes on the right. And then we need to screw in 8 screws to hold these caps down. Now that we have the V installed on the lid, we flip it over. We're going to now clip in the bag. So I'm going to take this thin plastic and I'm going to follow this channel that's going around. And I just push it down in and I'll hear a snap as I go. Okay, so I have it all clipped in on the inside. It now looks like this on the outside. It was really easy to do. It was just really hard for me to film it. The metal rod is installed by clipping it into these plastic clips that are on the bag at the top. So we just kind of push it in. We do the same on the sides. Now that the bag is assembled, you can bring it in at an angle, hook it on, let it go, and now it's one piece. So there's 2 things we actually need to install to the body of the Yuka. One is a counterweight. So it's this big heavy piece that's going to go right here. And that's because we're going to add a lot of weight to the back. This is a 2-wheeled unit. It would make it do this. So we're going to add some weight to the front. The other thing, which is the one I'm excited about, is a user replaceable battery. So since I'm installing it, that means if anything ever happens to this, I can just order a replacement and install it myself. The more things that you, the user, can do yourself if anything ever happens, the better. So I'm really excited about this. There is this center console right here. So if you just flip this upside down, you run the risk of possibly damaging your main height dial right here, vision, all sorts of stuff. I don't like that. But I've noticed that when I just rotate the unit, it's very stable sitting like this. It isn't falling forward. Can it? Absolutely. So definitely be vigilant and don't walk away from it when you do this. But I do like that I'm able to service my blades like this. And I'm going to go ahead and undo this big plate down here. This is what helps make those lines in the grass. I'm going to remove the screws from this plate. Okay, so we take this plate off. Oh yes, so this is the battery for the Yuka that's already installed. I'm so happy to see that. So that means that if we have any issues with either the sweeper battery or the Yuka's battery, it is just 6 screws away to be able to take it and replace it. So that's awesome. This battery has 2 screws that are already on the sides of the battery. So while the battery is out, I'm going to take the black coupling and put it onto the other black connector right here. Push it till it clicks. And then I'm going to take the white to the white. Again, push it till it clicks. Now that it's in, I can rotate my battery. Get all the wires out of the way, hopefully. and slide it in. There's a screw on the top and the bottom. Lastly, we're going to install the counterbalance. So we need to remove this white cover. It should just be clipped on. There we go. So pull heavy to one side to get the tab to release. It's 2 tabs on the side here. We then can put this heavy, I think it's cast iron, weight on the front. It has a built-in screw right here with a turn knob and one on each side as well. These can also be screwed in with the included screwdriver if your hand is not able to tighten it enough. All right, so let's install it. We're just going to place it on the back here. It locks in place with this yellow push button. On this side of the unit, you have the power cable that is in a nice little holder. They didn't have to add this. They could have just had the cable rolling around, so I like that they did that. And you have this rubberized gasket here that you just lift open, and then you take this and clip it down so it locks in place. We now have power going to the bagger. I come to you from 3 weeks in the future. The paddle here is now super dirty, unlike how it was a second ago. I asked some questions of Mammotion and they got back to me, and it seemed fitting to put it here. This paddle is user replaceable. So if anything happens to it in the future, it'll be under warranty or not. Whatever the case may be, you will be able to get one of these sent to you and replace it. So that is super good, because I see this as one of those items that over time something could happen to it, and so the ability to be able to replace it yourself is very good. Also, we just put a second battery in here, the battery that is for the sweeper kit. But what happens when you're not attaching the sweeper kit? When you're just running the mower on its own? You don't have to have the sweeper kit on. Well, I asked them, does that battery go to here and double it up? And they said yes. So you go from a 4.5 amp hour battery in here to a 9 amp hour battery just for the mower when the sweeper's not connected. That means that you get a lot longer run time on this machine before it needs to go recharge. That's awesome. They also have replacement batteries for sale on their website. So, you know, if you're not under warranty, 10 years down the road and you're having battery issues, you'll be able to pick up another one of these batteries really easy. Quick swap. I believe they're $189 on there right now. So not too bad for this type of thing. I'm super happy with more customer swappable parts. I can't say it enough. We all want that. I know we do. So I'm happy to see them doing those type of things. Back at my house, and I have the Yuka mowing my lawn. What I'm doing with the bagger on, with the sweeper on, is I want it to sweep while it's mowing. I'm interested to see if it's going to pick up the clippings, if it's also going to remove some things from the thatch too. So, like, you know, I have some older leaves in my thatch. I'm interested to see if it's going to scoop those leaves up that are wet and kind of decomposing in there, or if it's only just going to be a surface treatment that this sweeper handles. Here we can see it emptying its bag for the first time. You'll see it do a little shimmy afterwards to make sure that everything's out of there. We'll look at further emptyings later on in the video and how they work in the same spot. This mower definitely is getting a really close cut to my lawn. It has a very nice carpet-like look to it. I can definitely say it's on the same caliber as the Luba 2. Even on my lawn, that's not the best. The first mow is done, and there is a lot of grass that it bagged. I have that big pile over there, which was here. And then I have this big pile that it's sitting in right now. And, you know, this is the first time I'm running this too. So I made the mistake of putting the drop point at the edge of the grass right here. I should put the drop point maybe like on the driveway outside of the mow area. During the mow process, it avoided this spot once it started dumping here. But as it needed to mow here eventually, it fully just ran into this pile. And it happened twice. I picked up the other pile and moved it, and then later in the mow when it was doing the perimeter, it ran into the pile again, the new pile. So we're going to try it again. We're going to see what we missed in here. I did see clippings falling out of this as it went, so I'm sure there's more to pick up. And I'm going to move my drop point to the driveway and see how that works. I'm making a dumping spot over on my driveway by hitting create. And I've added the dumping spot. Now I'm going to turn the Yuka around and drive back to my mow zone. And as you can see in the software, it is making a blue line behind me. That way it knows where it needs to travel in order to get to the dump zone. So if you live in a wooded area, you could have your mower go back deep into an area where you want to dump every time, or you can go over to your driveway just like I'm doing to do this as well. So this is the second dumping for this round of mowing. You'll see that it's going to push it forward before it turns around to dump on the exact same spot. We'll see this consecutively 2 more times. And so if we're continuing to do that in the exact same spot, eventually the pile is going to get so large that you're going to get stuck at some point. It's going to get too heavy where it won't be able to push it. So you can have up to 100 dump locations on your property. I would recommend that you definitely set up quite a number of them, unless this is something that you're putting on your driveway like this and you're going to be cleaning up every time that you do this, like putting it into a waste bag. I did recommend over to Mamotion that maybe you have a total number of times you can dump in one spot, and that's something they're looking at implementing as like an optional thing. But overall, make sure you have enough locations so that you don't make a pile that's too large. In the same area that we have already mowed and swept twice, the grass was very clean. I went and found as many leaves as I could. It is summertime, so it's hard to find them, but I filled up this square as much as I could. We're going to go ahead and sweep and see how much is picked up on the first pass, how much is picked up on the second pass, and we'll do it all from a drone. That way we can see the whole thing in action. So I'd say on the first pass, we got about 75%. I did notice that we had debris falling out occasionally here and there, and we do have a large stick with a whole bunch of leaves on it. That actually got stuck underneath and dragged, so let's see if it's able to pick up more on the second pass. Okay, so after 2 passes, I think we hit about 90 to 95%. Now, I think during the first pass, you'll notice that the upper area got pretty clean and the bottom area did not. There was a branch with leaves on it that got stuck under there, and I think that impeded its pickup on the first round. But you know what? That's going to happen. So it was just encouraging to see that on the second round, we got most of everything. So now what I'm going to do is run a pass where I do mowing and sweeping at the same time. All right, after the mow and sweep, the only leaves that were left inside of the square was this much. So I would say we got 99% at this point. The bag itself right now is about as full to here. Of course, we're mixed in with grass now. So we're just a little bit above. I think that did a pretty respectable job. It looks very clean. If it's during the fall time and you have a lot of leaves coming down, I definitely see this as a sweep every day, mow every few days. And when you do mow and sweep. That way you're kind of mixing up anything that wasn't caught when you were just mowing. Now, this is not going to mulch the leaves like a standard mower would. It's not going to shred it up into 1,000 pieces. The mowing action just kind of grabbed it and lifted it up a little bit, maybe tore it into 2 pieces, but then it swept it into the mower. So I wasn't concerned with putting a lot of small leaf debris into the grass that I didn't want there. So overall, I think this was a really great test. We're on this steep hill, and I wanted to show that taller line of grass that's right in the middle of the screen. That is what my Luba 2 mows up to. So my first test was to see, can the Yuka mow everything on my lawn that I usually have my Luba 2 set to mow? And it successfully did so right here. I then have it start to mow the tall grass that the Luba normally does not mow, and it successfully mows an entire line of grass that's 6 to 8 inches tall.
It has a clean cut, and that's because it's bagging it. It then gets stuck on the incline, and when it gets stuck, it rotates around, and you'll notice that now it just lifted off its front wheel, and so it's completely off the air, and I have to go and get it unstuck. I then start it again, and it gets stuck immediately again on this same embankment in the exact same way. So this kind of illustrates how the center of gravity on this mower is different, and if you're on a hill, you definitely run the risk of it sitting back on its back. Next, we're doing the swale in front of my house that has a more gentle grade. It's where all those weeds are on the right. It was able to mow everything that my Luba 2 mows. However, if it gets too close to that swale, it's a sharp drop off, and you'll see the mower just kind of thwump over onto its side. That's because of that swivel wheel in the front. So if it does catch something like that, it's going to go, and it's going to go multiple times.
I dug into my lawn clipping bags to see what have I been picking up. Obviously, I'm picking up leaves, I'm picking up grass clippings, but what else is in there? And to my delight, I found tons and tons. I just grabbed a handful, but a ton of small rocks. This is good. I wondered about this. So the paddle is powerful enough to throw some heavier items up into the bag. I cleaned my yard with my sons. We walked my yard several times before we got the Luba, because seeing as these are razor blades, we didn't want any exposed rocks anywhere. Our lawn is not in the best condition, so there are lots of rocks and stuff. So we went and through and we picked up as much as we could. Well, there's a lot that we obviously missed, and most likely the Luba 2 was whacking them and they were staying in place, because unlike a gas mower that shoots a rock out at 100 miles an hour, these robotic mowers will hit them and they'll move like a foot, but they're not going to shoot out as a danger to other people, which is a good thing. But the Yuka's sweeper swept them up for me. So now I'm going to have a much cleaner lawn. I'm very excited for that. In addition, we had a lot of small stick debris, around this size, a little bit bigger, a little bit thicker, but overall not huge pieces. Maybe max palm of my hand. It did not have a lot of these. So I've noticed this. It has a little bit of difficulty with like a branch with a ton of leaves on it. I think what happens is maybe it gets stuck on the roller before this. I don't know. But sometimes I see it get stuck. Sometimes I see it roll over. Maybe it's getting stuck on the wheel, so it is hitting it, but the wheel is holding it in place, so the sweeper's not taking it. That just means that when we have bigger lawn debris, obviously if it's really big, the Luba and the Yuka are going to just avoid it. But you're going to have to go pick that type of stuff up. So the lawn stays so pristine and so short all the time because these mowers can mow all the time. It's very obvious when a stick falls down. So, like it is anywhere, you'll have to pick that type of stuff up occasionally. I live in a wooded lot, so that happens a lot. So, every once in a while, whenever I'm outside, I'm constantly walking around and throwing sticks in the woods. I wanted to quickly compare the overall design of the Yuka and the Luba 2, just because even though this is the brand new awesome bells and whistles thing, there is still a very different machine over here that people will still buy. So the Yuka is designed for smaller yards up to half an acre, and it is designed for a mostly flat, level yard. If you have big, steep inclines and hills and things, this might not be the one for you. It might be that one. So with this machine, when you have the bagger on, and it's a two-wheeled machine, its center of gravity moves towards the back. That's why we put this big, heavy weight on the front. It is capable of doing 10-degree inclines with the bag. Without the bag, it can go up to, a 23-degree incline, 24-degree incline. But as you saw in that one test before, when it was on a really steep hill and it was coming up, it actually went and sat back on its bagger, and I could put my foot underneath in the front. That's because of its center of gravity with this machine. Now, if we're looking at the Luba 2, this is a different style. It is overall a lower center of gravity. It's much heavier than this machine, and it's overall spaced out. It's also four-wheel drive, so you have more power and independent steering to be able to get out of tight situations. This one can do 38 degrees going straight, and it can do 24 degrees
when it's on its side like this. So this is able to tackle tougher terrain, and depending on which model of Luba 2 you get, you can get up to 4 acres mowed with this one unit. So this is for larger properties, more difficult terrain. The other one is for more of your flat, maybe suburban planned development type of terrain. Both are good. They're just very different in their use cases. So I'm going to have Joe go ahead and map out his property here. I want to get his opinion on how easy this is or how hard this is to set up, any complications that we might run into. Over in the app, first we have everything connected. We've gone through the simple setup steps. We're going to go ahead and hit map and then rotate the phone and create an area. And as it shows in the video, you're going to go around the perimeter of the property. So go ahead and just, we're going to go ahead and click start, the play button there. And now you're going to start driving the Luba using the 2 joysticks attached. That is the forward and back, and this makes it turn right and left. The big key with this is that you do not want to hit things, but you also want to get as close as possible. So feel free to go slow and take your time, because this robot will remember exactly where you put it. I'm actually really impressed with the accuracy to which it will be able to keep knowing its location as you mow the lawn. So if you hit a rock right now, it's going to hit a rock every single time that you are mowing the lawn. So Joe, how was the mapping process just walking around the property? Pretty easy?
It's relatively easy. It's the kind of thing where it's like learning to ride a bike. It's like, you know, learning how to control the joystick and getting your movements fluid rather than jiggling all over like I probably did this time. But I can see I got the hang of it the more I did it.
Yeah, so like what happened over at my house with the Luba that I originally got, I ended up probably remapping 3 or 4 times over the first week when I had the mower, just because I realized little errors that I made. You get more comfortable with it, like you were just saying. And so when you first get it, you might want to play around a little bit just because you're getting comfortable with it. But once you have it and you get a really good mapping, the mower is going to continue to just do the exact same thing every single day that you run it. So that's a good positive thing. So let's go ahead and just start mowing your front yard, and then we're going to go ahead and map the side yards and into the backyard, and we'll deal with how we have to get it into the backyard through the fence every single time that you want to run the mower. So Joe has a very common thing, which is a fence separating his front yard and his backyard. So how do you get the Luba into the backyard? Well, you know, one option is to just manually drive it. So Joe's going to, you know, possibly once a week, whenever he wants to mow the backyard, he can just put it through here into the zone that is pre-mapped into the backyard, hit start mow, and it's going to mow. Another option is to map both and then have a set time that you're going to open up the gate once a week, that it's going to go into the backyard and come back into the front. But a lot of people's concern is when they have animals like dogs and pets, they don't want those animals to get out. So another option is these autonomous gate solutions that are being sold. So you built it right into the side of your fence. That way, when the Luba is ready, or I'm sorry, the Yuka is ready to go in, it will just autonomously open. The Yuka will go through and it will close again afterwards. For Joe's situation, if this was a permanent install here, he'd probably keep the base station in the front. That way that he can mow the front yard every other day, every 3 days, whenever frequency was like, so that his neighbors see the nicest part of his lawn. And then maybe once a week, whenever he's ready to, he can go ahead and just bring it into the backyard, right? I mean, that only took about 10 seconds.
Sure, easy enough.
And considering what you were doing with a push mower before, not that bad. But if you want to go that extra mile, there are some autonomous solutions available. And there are other people who just buy a machine for the front yard and a machine for the backyard so that they're mowing all the time. But, you know, that's obviously a heavy financial investment. So that was the Mamotion Yuka. I have been waiting for this, and I'm so happy that it actually mowed everywhere on my lawn. I got a little concerned when I first got it, before I started running it, because they had told me it's meant for flat, level, small yards. I have a half an acre lot. This is a max half acre, but I have some uneven terrain and ground and stuff, so I worried, uh-oh, this isn't gonna cut it for me. But it did. So I'm happy because I have a very wooded lot. I get lots of leaves. I'm excited to use this bagger. So I'll be probably putting out another video towards the fall with this, and give you an update on how well it does with collecting leaves. When I have an entire yard just covered in them, we're going to see how long it takes to pick everything up. I'm very happy with all of the new improvements on this over the Luba 2, which primarily focuses around user replaceable parts, batteries, that type of stuff's great. We have an improved child-proof undercarriage, but it is more open to allow less buildup of grass underneath. That's great. We have a little windshield wiper in the front. That's fun. And overall, the bagger, the sweeper works incredibly well. So I'm very happy with that. I think for me personally, I'm going to keep the bagger off a lot of the time. It only takes, you know, what, 5 seconds to put it on and off. So when I want to mow, it's going to stay like this most of the time. If I'm having somebody over or a party or something, I might put the bagger on to bag my clippings that day, just to, you know, maybe give me a little bit cleaner of an appearance. But I will be putting it on in the fall, and I'm going to run it in sweeper mode every single day. And then every few days, I'll run a second pass where it's sweeper and mowing at the same time. That second pass will also dislodge any leaves that might be a little bit more intertwined in there that weren't able to just be picked up by the sweeper alone. So I'm excited to keep working with this one, and I think Mamotion did a great job in their next iteration of their autonomous lawnmower. I hope you got a lot of good information out of this. I do want to note that I didn't focus on some of the basic stuff like how to program using the application. The application does change a lot. Mamotion upgrades their software frequently, so things change. But if you're looking for something like that, you can check out my Luba 2 review video. I'll put the link down in the description below. On that one, I went full dive into the software. So it's the exact same software for this one as it is for that one. So the exact same things apply. So I figured instead of redoing the same thing, you can check over there if that's what you're looking for. If you got good information, I hope you'll like and subscribe. That's what really helps me build up this channel and make these videos. As always, stay safe in the shop, and I'll see you in the next one.